Posing nude for a living isn't the kind of career that comes with a 401k, but one former Penthouse pet had a retirement plan that turned out to be the biggest mistake of her life.
I was up for conspiracy to possess cocaine, house of prostitution, I was like, what, and what?
When a centerfold is bearing it all in front of the camera, financial planning isn't exactly the first thing on her mind. But once the glory days fade away, cash flow can become a serious problem. Sometimes you have to think outside of the box to make a buck. 1985 Penthouse pet Lisa Ann Taylor, known to her legions of fans as Melissa Wolfe, certainly got creative in her post-Centerfold career.
There's a booking form on my site that says, you know, would you like a dream date or a photo shoot? And the fees, the amounts are up there. It's like, it's $300 for the first hour, $200 for every hour after, or $1,000 for the whole day to shoot me in a magazine style in my home.
But it wasn't long before rumors surfaced that there was something more lurid than amateur photography taking place inside her Atlanta home.
We got a tip from the editor of the local newspaper who had received an anonymous phone call. It said that one of the people lived in Sugarloaf and that they were real estate agents and prostitutes. Once we determined who was who and where they lived, that's when I took it to the police.
Events that followed would earn Melissa the notorious nickname of Mansion Madam and forced her to return to a line of work she thought she had left behind. Like so many before her, the woman who once billed herself as Penthouse's most published pet parlayed her centerfold status in the mid-1980s to a lucrative career working the seedy circuit of strip clubs across the country. But it wasn't long before life on the road began to take its toll.
You do 4 shows a day, Monday through Saturday, then travel out again on Sunday, come back home, fly back out. You barely had time to pay your bills. Stripping is not a glamorous life. People seem to think that it is. It's a night shift job predominantly. For the girls that live here and work, I mean, I can't imagine how monotonous it must be to be in the same club night after night after night after night. Just some of the lovely ladies here at the Platinum Club. You don't want to say hello? Hey.
Melissa soon made the jump into acting in adult films, but all the while, she was working on a plan B that kept her clothes on.
Unlike a lot of adult stars, Melissa was very smart in saving her money. She had a husband, her first husband was her trainer, and they began investing in Baskin-Robbins franchises. She had real estate in Canada. She had this $1 million mansion, and she had paid a lot of it off, and she was planning on retirement or moving into another profession like real estate.
You need to have something to fall back on. Don't be in a position like me, where it was great for a chunk of time, 25 years, and then you are flat on your back with nothing.
I decided to make that transition into my life from porn into real estate because I enjoyed building my own home and because it was something I wanted to do, and that the commission was good, and besides, I swear old strippers go to die.
But Melissa's life wasn't all listing prices and open houses. She still had her website business, offering up photo ops and, according to the Gwinnett County DA, a weekend of sex with the centerfold and other women for $10,000.
January 11th, 2007. Imagine dark police cars rolling past the gates, past the armed guards, armed with a search warrant, start cruising, and they pull up at this red brick mansion, and they knock on the door. They want to see Melissa Wolfe. She doesn't know what they're there for. She thinks they're there for a mortgage fraud next door.
I'm thinking, oh, you guys are at the wrong house. You know, you want the house next door.
Moments later, the Gwinnett County Police and the FBI were standing inside the home that would become known as the brothel in the burbs.
They had a search warrant, and that I was up for conspiracy to possess cocaine, house of prostitution, and what was the other one? Oh, RICO, that's it. The big one, RICO. Yeah, the RICO Act, yeah, the big one. I was like, what, and what? You know?
She wasn't happy about it. She didn't resist or fight or anything like that, but she did say, well, if I'm going to jail, can I at least get a cocktail and a Valium? And we had to tell her, no, you can't do that.
Here you had a former Penthouse centerfold charged with running a brothel in one of Atlanta's most expensive neighborhoods, very Republican, a lot of church-going people, and she was now in jail, charged with prostitution.
To make matters worse, her partner in crime, Nicole Probert, known as Naughty Nikki, lived up to her name and turned state's evidence against Melissa.
Naughty Nikki had made a deal through her lawyer with the DA to have her charges dropped if Melissa was charged and pled guilty. Suddenly, you have betrayal in the brothel. You have a woman who was supposedly her best friend giving her up. So she pled guilty to prostitution, drug possession, and she was given probation but a $150,000 fine and given a deadline to pay it off.
After draining her assets to pay for her defense, and with her dream of becoming a real estate agent now doomed, Melissa found it impossible to pay the fine.
My website is completely flopping now because everybody's afraid to sign up because of the information they have to give. They're afraid they might be considered a client or something like that. So yeah, you know, I'm having a difficult time making money.
Melissa Wolfe's only option was a comeback career as a 43-year-old stripper.
I find it still very uncomfortable, even though I have a lot of young boys that like me and a lot of older men that still like me and a lot of fans that still like me and love to see me perform. I am a good stage performer. It is still very difficult to get up on a stage in a business that is girls half my age. Like that? Well, there's more than that, actually. It doesn't look like a lot, but there's a lot more in the basket. I just couldn't pick it all up. You're not allowed to take tips in the garter here. However, you are allowed to sweat profusely all over the stage.
I think on the surface it looked like here was this prosecutor just grabbing some headlines. But behind that, the FBI wanted to talk to Melissa about some of the people she had worked for in the past. They were suspects in much bigger investigations, and I think they hoped to squeeze her and let her give them up. Well, she didn't give anybody up. She just said she didn't know anything about these people. As a result, she got the book thrown at her.